What's up, everybody? It's the ISAC Yardbird Podcast, and today's episode is brought to you by Mountaineer Brand. If you got a beard on your face or a bald head above your neck, you need to go to mountaineerbrand.com and use my code ISAC for 15% off your entire order. Beard oil, beard wash, beard conditioner, all kinds of things. If you need a brush for it, straighten it out, you got it, and you get 15% off with my code EYESAC at mountaineerbrand.com. And also a big shout out to the new addition of the studio, Blue Dream Candle from Scents by Yaya. Go to, I guess it's scentsbyyaya.com and get you a candle. All right, what's up, everybody? Another episode of the ISAC Yardbird Podcast, and we got the producer sitting in the chair. He's not behind the camera.
See, you finna hype me up, man.
I,
I'll take that. I'm gonna take my moment in the spotlight because I am never in front of this thing. I'm
I
always
know.
behind the camera.
Even the interviews you do, you don't include
I
yourself in
am
it.
never on screen, and I don't know why.
Oh well, why is like what? Why did that decision happen?
I think when we started on site, we based it around the look of the DJ Vlad interviews, and
Okay,
DJ Vlad is never on camera.
I
And
don't. I'm not
then
familiar.
you don't know who DJ Vlad is? Oh, he's like, especially in the urban interviews, like he's like the GOAT online, interviewing all the
Oh, for
rappers.
real?
And but Vlad got, yeah, it's some stuff behind Vlad and his whole movement. Like, great production company, but sometimes people be getting caught up by doing them interviews. So
Okay.
little about on site. We work very hard to stay away from that subject matter and those type of questions. We want to keep it about the culture, strictly about the music, learning the individual, not what you did to get your bread to make it to where you are now. Those are the DJ Vlad questions.
Okay.
I'm not afraid to say that on camera.
Right. Say what you gotta say.
Absolutely.
So when did you start on-site media?
We started on site, I want to say like August of 2021.
Oh, so it's pretty
It's
recent.
pretty new. Yeah.
What made you want to do that?
Um, with me coming from urban media, like my production company, we do a lot of urban music videos and stuff like that. So I looked at all the talent that's in Sanford, and really we were like, we need a way to give back because everybody necessarily doesn't have a budget to be able to get a music video done, get on a podcast, get an interview or whatever.
Right.
And again, we're just looking at all the talent. Yeah, I hear it
I
rattling and
think he's
everything.
right.
We're looking at all the talent that's in the area. I mean, theoretically, like, there are 3,000 music releases every year, or 3,000 new musical artists every year.
Okay.
But about 3% of that actually make it to mainstream, to where we're streaming them on Spotify, YouTube, and all that, right? So we don't know. Somebody in that 3% might be located in Sanford, but just don't have an opportunity or know how to get to a platform like the ISAC Yardbird podcast. So we just said we'll start our own.
Okay.
I mean, you look at all of these other major cities, New York, Atlanta, Houston, California, like all of these other areas got networks to where people inside the city are interviewing the artists in the city, and that allowed them to get into other markets to where now their music is on the radio. So we
Hmm.
just looked at it the same way. And then, of course, we have the success stories like the J. Cole's and the Morrays from this area. Well, not from Sanford, but from North
Yeah.
Carolina. And then you got the baby in Charlotte. So we just looked at, it's a lot of talent in Sanford, and they need an outlet. So
Yeah.
somebody has to start it.
That's something me and Kevin Sanchez, you met him a couple of
Yep.
times. We were talking about when I was starting this. It was trying to figure out if I should or should not start it, and we had some other ideas that we might have wanted to go into.
Hmm.
And what the situation that kept coming up was, well, why should we start it here when it's already established somewhere else? Why wouldn't we just go and do it there?
Because that's
And
somebody
Kevin,
else stuff.
exactly, Kevin was the one that like really pushed me to do this. He was like, but why not do it here? Why not start it? Somebody has to
Absolutely.
start it.
Somebody has to start it, bro.
And I feel like a lot of people, which I don't know, I feel like a lot of people want the the platforms that are alive elsewhere to be here, but everyone's afraid to be the first one to go in and actually keep it going because it's going to be so hard to establish your
It
foothold.
ain't even that. I'm gonna put this out here, and I might catch flack for this one, but I'm gonna be authentic right now. I said this the other day. It's Sanford has this quote unquote crab in a bucket mentality to where even though I can see you doing something, I don't want to support you because I only want you to get so high.
Mm,
And especially if like we're doing the same thing now, you can't surpass me, so I'm not gonna support you at all.
yep.
It's
You're not going to catch, well, you probably will
dumbest
catch hate for that
thing. And it's the truth.
because of, because it is true.
It's the truth. It's the truth. Jack Nicholas, you can't handle the truth. It's truth. Like
Yeah,
when we get out of that mentality, and what they don't realize is the Atlantas and the New Yorks and the Californias, they're not in that mindset. I
right.
want to help you because helping you is gonna eventually help me. If you make it, I make it. If you make it and then you start shouting out everybody around you, guess who's next up in, well, not next up, but guess who gets mentioned?
Yeah,
And then if I put the work in, now I make it. But
yeah. That was
here
a,
it's just like, nah, I can't.
yeah,
No, I can't see you doing that. I can't support you.
right.
And
Because
then
then,
I'm gonna take your ideal and I'm gonna go run with it like
mhm.
I originated. Nah, this area is that mentality hurts us the most.
That was something I had heard growing up so much before I was of the age group where people were actually trying to express business ideas
Hmm.
and establishing something. And I was like, oh, that's probably everywhere. And it is probably a lot of places. But the older I got and the more I saw people from Sanford succeeding, and even when they made it, people would still be like, oh, he's not really like that. They're not
Yep.
really like that. You know, well, you know him, Aaron Millette,
Yeah.
when he made the
Absolutely.
NFL
He
and was
did.
the Ravens, people were like,
He did.
oh, he's not really like that. I'm like, then his first, what, week or
Shout out
two?
to Aaron.
Shout out to Aaron Millette.
Facts. Elon. I think they put him in the Hall of Fame at Elon, but yeah.
I bet so. He was dirty.
He was the I remember I wasn't at the game, but I remember working on some content and I ended up putting together a highlight reel, and they were playing Appalachian State.
Okay.
This is how crazy and how nice guy is or was, because I don't think he's playing now.
Mhm.
My dude, midair, catches the ball, and a defender is on him, puts his hand on the ball. Before Aaron's feet touched the ground, he picked it back. Straight up. They both caught it at the same time as he's coming down. Give me that.
Mm,
Touchdown.
God.
Cold.
I mean,
No lie, y'all can look this up.
he was raw.
Cold.
He
That guy
set
was against Appalachian State.
he set records at
He
Elon.
did.
Yeah.
They put him in the Hall of Fame.
But yeah,
You don't
he
you
got
don't get in the
through.
Hall of, you don't make the Hall of Fame if you don't put that work in.
Oh yeah. And then
Absolutely.
it was unfortunate what happened because he goes through. He's playing in the preseason and then
Yeah,
he
and he
tears
got hurt
tears
MCL
ACL, MCL,
something
something like that.
something.
And they never gave him another shot. And I don't know if he didn't heal properly
Come
or
on, man.
what,
You know
but
it's this the NFL. It's not for long. You preseason and we got to put money into your like I don't know what
yeah,
the full story is, but we know how the league goes. You
yeah,
you can be a promising athlete in college, but you have to make it at this level. And if you didn't make it through the first 4 games of the preseason, why are we going to
mm,
give you this big bag to have you sitting
yeah,
on the bench?
yeah. It makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was something that was just seeing the amount of people that didn't want you to succeed just because they either one, they didn't want to bust their ass and try to succeed as well, or two, they just didn't want somebody doing better than them.
yeah, that
It's sad.
it's
It's a sad
terrible.
mentality.
It's terrible. But we have to be mindful of it and have the mindset and the willpower to rise above it.
Hmm.
Like, because like you said, there are many success stories in Sanford and all over, but you won't hear about those because they don't want you to know
Right.
because of the mentality, crab in
Hmm.
a bucket. I don't want to. I don't want you to know who's really winning, so you go and look at that person
Yeah.
instead of follow me and hey, come work at the factory or whatever.
Hmm.
I don't know, man.
That was something that drew me to you was how how adamant you were about like establishing a network, connecting, because you understood the not only the power behind a team of people around you, but the I feel like it raises the chances of success not only for you but
Absolutely,
everybody around you so
absolutely.
much.
That's the 10x rule, man. That's if people aren't familiar. 10X Rule, Grant Cardone. Awesome book. But it's basically it sets you up for a mindset. So if I say I want to go out and I'm striving to make $1 million, why did I set my sight so low, which might be big?
Mm-hmm.
So according to the 10X rule, if my goal is to make $1 million, then I should shoot for 10 million.
Mm.
Because what happens is if my number is 1 million and I don't make it, now I'm upset, I'm broken because I didn't reach my goal. But if I set my goal higher, so of course I want 1 million,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm gonna set my sight on 10 million and I get to 4 million. Okay, well, I didn't make it to 10 million, but what was my original goal? I surpassed that. You see what I'm saying? So I've done better than I've done better than what I originally wanted because I pushed myself so much further. So it's like that's it. You gotta have a network. You gotta have people around you because you doing everything yourself is only gonna take you so far. You can only focus on one thing at a time.
Yeah, that goes into our multitasking
Multitasking, like
subject. This was all right. So we did this. We had this conversation before about multitasking, and to
hmm
begin with, I was on the side of well, I multitask sometimes. I think it's possible.
I still multitask to this day.
Well, I went and tried it and was more conscious about when I was trying to multitask.
After we had this conversation, you
Yeah,
realize like
I was like, it don't work.
it doesn't work. It
Can't
doesn't
do
work.
it.
All right. So the question is it possible or no? Is multitasking a good thing? Is that what it
Is it a
was?
skill or a setback?
Yes. Is multitasking a skill or a setback? My belief is multitasking, although the way that I do it could be looked at as a skill set, it really is not. It's a setback because I'm not able to focus on one particular thing. I'm trying to do four things at once.
Hmm.
Something is going to lack. I
Yeah,
might get all four things done, but how well
right.
did I do any of those four things?
Hmm.
I need to excel at something. So being able to sometimes we need to lock in and have tunnel vision.
Yeah, I find myself with that, and like I was working on the Bad Movies podcast.
hmm
Yes, not yesterday, Tuesday, and I was in here for like 5 hours, and I would like I like taking like little 5 minute, 7 minute breaks when I work for a long time, just
You
so I
got
so
to.
I don't get burnt out.
You
Yeah,
got to. Absolutely.
and I go back to working, and I wouldn't realize how long I went for, and then I go back. I was like texting people, Snapchatting people, whatever, and I would go and I'd be like, "Dang it, it been an hour and a half already."
hmm
But that tunnel vision of I wasn't focusing on anything else. I wasn't trying to handle and juggle all this stuff at one
You're in
time.
the moment.
Yeah,
You're focused, and the end result is your product comes out better.
yeah.
Nah, I'm with that. 100%, bro.
It felt like I thought what was the most frustrating thing at first when starting this was the computer work because I hate computers. I hate messing with them. I hate
That's how
every
you know what? That's how you know you actually love something though.
yes.
Because you were determined I'm going to start a podcast. I have value that I want to give to people. So with that, I have to be uncomfortable and learn
Hmm.
how to edit, learn how to audio engineer, right? So yeah.
And it is still not. I can't even say it's not fun because I enjoy the learning process of it now because I know where it can take me. I
Right.
know how much better it can make my brand, my product, or whatever it might be.
Right.
And so there'll be something that I'm lacking in or some problem that keeps occurring, and I'm like, okay, I gotta sit down and figure this out. And YouTube videos, all kinds
Yep.
of PDFs or whatever I gotta read.
That's it.
But then the second I get it, I'm frustrated the whole time. The second I get it, I'll go, okay, we're good. You
hmm
figured it out. Good job. And then it's on to
But
the
it's a
next thing.
reason why you never stop though. That's that determination. Like
Hmm.
because I enjoy what I'm doing
Yeah,
and I'm focused on the process. So nah, bro, that's big. Like you gotta be we gotta be able to lock in. Multitasking can be good. You're able to get multiple things done, but it's not a skill set. It's
yeah.
not a skill set at all.
What do you feel like your biggest skill set is personally? Or biggest skill?
My biggest skill, I think, would be and I think I'm really discovering it now. Like I've always been a creative. I've known since I was like 12 or 13 that I was going to do something in the arts.
Hmm.
But I think coming full circle where I am in my life now, I think giving value to others, being able to have these type conversations and being able to teach overall, like I get the greatest enjoyment out of that.
Yeah.
Working with the guys and girls that I get to teach and work with at the church, and then I'm volunteering at an elementary school. I've been booked for more and more speaking engagements, and it just seems like a lot of people want me to work with the youth. So I've just really sat back and looked at it like maybe teaching is that next step. Like I've gotten comfortable and I've reached a level of success with the media company. Um, but yeah, giving back that value and showing others how to do it.
Yeah.
Because it might not be my music video, but one of these young cats might be the next Spike Jones or Director X or somebody.
Yeah.
So,
A product of you.
which is very, very humbling.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, because I've already worked with a couple guys, especially in this city. So shout out DZG Mackin and his videographer, Flex. So when I came back from New Hampshire in 2019, I got with DZ's videographer. His name is Flex.
Okay.
And he they reached out to me and he was like, "Yo, well, let me start from the beginning. In 2018, I didn't know it at the time, but I ended up shooting DZ's first music video, which is a record called Talk My Shit.
Okay.
And again, I go back to New Hampshire, come back in 2019. They reach back out to me, so I'm putting in my pitch. I'm starting my marketing, my promotion. Like, look, I'm coming back to the area. Anybody needs any work, uh, artists get at me. So they actually reached out, but I knew that DZ had his own videographer. So I approached them like, listen, you honestly don't need me, but what could benefit you guys if I taught your guy how to create content for you.
Okay.
So initially I was looking at it like this is a music video production course or something like that. And again, I just started working with Flex, and it really developed into a long term friendship. Like we've been kicking it for the last 3 years. And he's even on the production crew with me at the church now. Um, but yeah, like he took that information, and within 6 months, he was running laps around me
Really?
with his editing and like his style,
Hmm.
the way he shoots videos. But and then I attribute that to okay, well they're a lot younger than me. I think they're still in their mid 20s. So the way music, the sound of music has changed a lot. So they're a lot more in tune with that than I am. So I grew up,
Okay.
a 80s baby. So I'm hip hop in the 90s and 2000s. You know what I'm saying? So music does not sound like that
Oh, it
anymore,
doesn't.
right? The look of music videos, they don't
Right.
look like they did in 2000. So I just, I basically gave him that camera knowledge that you need to know. Learn your ISO, learn your camera overall, period. But make sure you know the exposure triangle and make sure you know your how to set your ISO and all of that stuff. He just took that information and ran with it, like, and started killing. And I mean, just I think everybody sees where DZ is now. So
Is he in Sanford?
yeah, he I think he's still in Sanford. I think he's still based in Sanford, yes.
Okay. I got you. There's a lot of talk about the production, about your video work and stuff. When did you start this?
I'll say I officially started GHME Films in 2013. And I say that because that's when I made the decision to go to Full Sail and start taking things seriously. But unofficially, we started filming probably 2010. That's when we were doing music heavy. The guys were in and out the clubs performing. I stepped back from being an artist at that time and started focusing more on the production side. So I was the audio engineer for everybody. And yeah, I went and bought a little handy cam from Rent a Center, I believe.
Oh, okay.
We just started Every time we would go out and perform at the club, it was almost like game footage. The same way basketball teams record their plays so we could see it. We wanted to see how we looked on stage. We wanted to see how we interacted with the crowd.
Mm.
So started recording that stuff, and then it turned into like this is around the same time, early 2009, 2010. Like the YouTube is starting to become big, and all the YouTube artists. So that transformed into, hey, record our club performance to, I wonder, can we put together a music video?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I think it was, I want to say like Sony Vegas or something was the first program we used. This is, oh my gosh, this is old. But yeah, I mean, that's how it started. So again, I applied for Full Sail. Well, I started in January of 2013. So I'll say that's when I started taking it seriously.
What was it in you that, or what happened? Was there a particular moment where you're doing this thing is, I guess, kind of like a hobby, something that's fun, to where you were like, I can take this seriously and turn it into something big?
So again, I always knew that I was gonna be in media. I always felt like I wanted to work in media, and sitting around with the guys and everybody recording, like I could really identify where the talent was.
Okay.
Um, and I like I'm not gonna say I didn't have talent. Of course I have talent, but I just focused on where could my efforts be utilized the most. And it wasn't like I'm not gonna out rap these guys. I'm not gonna be the best singer of the crew, but what are we missing? And at that time it was somebody that understood proper mixing and mastering. So I shout out to Rob Young. I remember back in like 2011, Rob was studying at Berkeley at the time. So Rob Young is I think he has his master's degree in music production or audio engineering or something like that.
Dang.
But he was studying at Berkeley. He had just finished up a Pro Tools course, like a mix and master in Pro Tools. And I remember getting on Facebook and he's like, listen, for all you cats back home that's trying to do the music, I'm going to sell you my actual school course. And I think I was the only person that was like, this is a stupid opportunity
Right.
because at that time, again, I'm thinking about what's the next steps for me. And I'm researching schools, and I know Berkeley School of Music is a heavyweight.
Oh, yeah.
So you're gonna give me an actual Berkeley course. He might even get in trouble for me saying this on the podcast, right? Well, this is like
It's
2011,
old
so
now. They ain't gonna
it's
take it
old.
away
Yeah,
from you.
he's graduating everything.
He's good.
I'm like, yeah, he straight up and down. So I think it was PayPal at that time. I sent him the bread, and instantly he sent me an email with this entire course, less like their videos, but
Okay.
all of the book work, and it was really just follow it step by step and learn.
Well,
And for what wasn't in the package, I would go on YouTube University. But then Rob took it a step further for me. Whatever I would work on, he would allow me to send him my reference mixes, and then he would kind of like critique me and
dang.
grade me. So again, I just looked at like what do we not have? We don't have somebody that knows proper engineering. So let me learn this course. And I guess so once I did that, then it was so start recording the performances. All right, so now you recording the performances. Can you shoot a music video?
Right.
So it just grew.
That's cool that it's also something that while you're doing that for somebody else and somebody's like, hey, can you do this music video for me? Then it's them getting the benefit and the practice to see what they can work on from you, but
Hmm.
it's also you getting the opportunity to work on it and hone
And
in your
see,
skill.
I think at that time we didn't understand what we were actually doing was bartering each other's services,
Yeah.
right? Because I would look at it and say, like, Rob, even though he wasn't physically mixing, but he needed to know that somebody was actually going to pay attention and that wanted that knowledge. Shout out to Scalded Beats. So I know, especially at that time, he was working heavily with one of the big homies that's still in this area, Ryan Malden. Um, so it was like, yeah, if you didn't get your stuff done by either Rob, Ryan, and another guy by the name of Southman, your music was trash.
Mm.
And it's a lot of studios, it's a lot of people that did music in this area. I said what I said. If you didn't go to one of those three, Your music sounded like trash. And
Who?
that was including my crew because we didn't know what we were doing.
Yeah.
But everybody wanted to be creative. So again, man, I looked at the opportunity and I I don't think I could explain it any further than just for whatever it was that connected me with his post. I just saw that opportunity and I felt like I had to go.
Okay. Because that's something that I don't know. That's something I'm looking for or trying to relate to somebody with is I feel like I'm going really hard on the podcasting thing.
You are. I didn't realize you were like 71 episodes in
Well, that's numbered. I'm really like 85 episodes in,
and you
but
been
I
doing this for how long?
it'll be 2 years in March next
Yeah, you
month.
rolling, bro.
Yeah, but I'm I question myself like every night, which I guess it's a good thing, but it also drives me crazy. Is am I giving enough? Am I going hard enough? Or is it to the point where it's like you are, but you need to chill out a little bit. You need to slow down. It's hard finding that balance. What would you say? What would you say to that?
Something that my pastor has told me is allow yourself to appreciate your accomplishments. Take a step back and see where you started and see where you are now. So you can see the growth.
Yeah,
I think when we're just so determined, we have an expectation already predetermined.
yeah,
And if we're not meeting that expectation fast enough,
yeah.
then that's when that doubt comes in. And I'm not doing no. It's a reason why you started it. You know what I'm saying? It was a reason why you were passionate about doing this in the first place. And like you said, through everything that you had to learn, me included, the freaking 36 months of school, bad client deals, not making any money on shoots, but at the end of the day, it got me to the knowledge that I have now and the ability to create the way I do. So, I mean, I don't know, man.
Well, what something you said I can touch on is what your pastor said. Can we shout him out?
Yeah, go ahead.
Bishop
Shout
McLean?
out Bishop Millette Christian Provision Ministries, Sanford, North Carolina. I don't even need to say no more. Some people call it the mega church. I might get in trouble for saying that, but that's how some people feel. CPM is the mega church of Sanford. One of them.
Oh, yeah, probably
One
is,
of
yeah.
them. Yes.
Um, but that was actually one of these uh cookie jar conversations, and we'll do it in a minute. But somebody sent in, do you allow yourself to celebrate your like either
That was the word.
accomplishments
Yes.
or your achievements or whatever it is?
We got to.
And it was actually me and Kevin doing it when the question came in.
Hmm.
And both of us were like, no. And that's like that's been my mindset of I feel like if I celebrate a win, if I celebrate how far I've come in whatever particular area, then I'm gonna begin slacking in it. And that's just a internal fear I have.
That makes sense. And I think the way society pushes what their level of success is.
Yeah.
Like you have to drive a certain car, your bank account must read a certain number,
Hmm.
your house must be so big in order for you to be quote unquote successful. Like, yeah, I think especially like it's worse now with social media. Like
God, dude.
it's way worse for you than it was for me.
Yeah.
Because when I was 24, there was no Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat,
Hmm.
TikTok, well, none of that.
Yeah.
It was barely a cell phone. We were still walking around with flip joints. Like, yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
I think it's a lot worse for y'all now because everything is so accessible and everybody's opinion and what everybody wants to push off on us as being the end thing or their version of success. We see that so much that we lose sight of all of our efforts and again how far we've come and then we just think okay no, I got to keep going because I haven't got to the M yet.
Yeah. I gotta get to where they're at.
I got to get to where they're at now.
Yeah.
That's keeping up with the Joneses. And who
Yeah.
are the Joneses? It's a person that doesn't exist. I know it's a lot of people named Jones, but
Yeah.
no, the Joneses is people that never exist.
Yeah.
And chasing them will keep us broke.
Mm.
That was something I had to learn as well.
It's it's something I remind myself of often. but it's something I feel like I also struggle with putting it into practice. Because I'll see something and I'll look up when I'm looking up stuff to how do you grow your podcast? And I honestly
Hmm.
quit doing that now. I quit looking that stuff up and I was like, because most of it was pay for advertisement.
It's a sales funnel. What?
It is.
Sometimes that is the recipe though. Now let's be realistic about this.
Okay.
And all what we didn't see back then from TV companies, they had a major budget to make sure that every time a show went on commercial, we saw that advertisement, or every time you open up the newspaper, you read about this new movie that's coming out or whatever. They had the money to put behind the ads.
Yeah.
That hasn't really changed. It's just the methods of which where are you sending that ad? Are you sending it to the newspaper and to the TV stations,
Right.
or are you now paying for it on TikTok and Snapchat?
Yeah.
It's the method has changed, but it's still the same thing. Like you have to spend on your ad.
You
Um,
think so?
man, I know so. All right,
So like, all right.
I'm working. I'll give you a great example, and
Okay.
I'm working on an episode of On Site, and the guy we're interviewing, his name is Yolo Rue. He's a rapper from Fayetteville.
Okay.
This is what he said. Imagine it being like a force field, right? So most people think the force field is supposed to keep stuff out, but actually it's supposed to spread to be able to allow things to come in. So if the force field starts here and we have it really small, the more money we put into this force field, the more it grows. Thinking
Okay.
about your ad budget, right?
Right.
So the more you put into that ad budget, if I put $100 in, it's only going to reach 10,000 people. But if I put $1,000 in, now it reaches 50,000 people. So the more I spend on it, the further it grows, right?
Hmm.
And then it never dies. So in the case of music, like a good song can become a timeless song. Name your favorite artist. We ain't even got to go through this. I'll throw one out. An example I use, Isley Brothers. Like they got classic hits, right? These songs were written 30, 40 years ago,
Hmm.
but you play it now and you going to pick up on that vibe. Well, why is it still relevant? Because a long time ago, somebody put it in the budget. This is the next big hit from the Isley Brothers. So we're going to spend $50,000 on
Hmm.
promotion just to make sure that they get those tour ticket sales up whenever they start traveling and doing stuff like that. So it's the same thing, bro. It's if you want your music to get out there, if you want your product to be seen, you got to spend on advertising.
So I'm probably just scared of like social media then, because I don't like
We
social
think
media.
we
That's
think
where
it's
I
a
see it all
dump
the time.
because it's an investment. It's not
Right.
gonna come back. I spent $100 today. I'm not gonna see it for. I might not see it for a year,
Yeah.
but that doesn't mean I gotta stop. Just go, oh, it's a waste of money. No, it's
Yeah.
somebody saw that ad, and you should be able to check the analytics on whatever site you're on.
Right.
But that's the stuff we gotta study. Like, am I placing it in the right markets?
Yeah.
Am I targeting the right audience, the right people? Like
Yeah.
I shouldn't go after the senior citizen club that likes to golf and tell them, hey, come watch my rap podcast. Like they're
Right.
probably not gonna, you know what I'm saying? That would be a waste, but that
Yeah.
would be my fault because I didn't pay attention and actually study where to invest my money
Yeah.
in the marketing.
That's something that TikTok showed me, which I got off TikTok for a while, but then it goes back to Gary V
Mm-hmm.
and his
Absolutely.
his videos coming out where he was like, if you just post on TikTok went 5 times a day, 4 times a day, whatever it is.
And what's crazy? What's crazy is I'm really watching these videos in 2018, and he's like, "I'm telling you now, TikTok's gonna be the next thing. You better get on it now."
Yeah.
And we
He's
did
caught a
go.
bunch of stuff too.
A bunch of stuff.
It's
Yes,
crazy.
yes.
But so going into the like TikTok shows a lot of analytics for
Hmm.
free. And so I've been looking at it and kind of learning the demographic of who enjoys watching the videos and who it gets pushed to.
Right.
Because once like four people see it and two of them like it, then the algorithm goes, okay, this kind of user like this kind of product.
Hmm.
So then it's like, okay, well, let's show it the majority of it to this kind of demographic. We'll still show some stuff to other people to see if they like it too. But ultimately, it led to show me kind of like the overall demographic that it's going to be. So I
Right.
have an idea of like where I need to spend money so that it'll grow in that area. But I'm still just waiting to pull the trigger for whether or not to do it. But
No
you're
risk, no
saying I should?
reward. No risk, no reward.
All right,
No risk, no reward.
I'll do it.
It's no more to it than that, bro.
It makes sense. I really think it is just my my hatred for social media, where I'm like, because
Listen,
every time you
I'm the
post something, it's
same
like, do
way.
you want to boost this post? And I'm like,
Yep, yep.
no,
But we have to think about like what they didn't start off that way, but I think Facebook and Instagram are really now designed as like ad share sites or advertise. I know Instagram is nothing more than an advertisement platform.
that's what I use it for.
That's
But
that's
I'm not
that's
paying
what
for
you should use it
it, so I
for.
need to pay for it.
No, you just need to pay to get it further. Like if you
That's what,
already
yeah,
have a large following, then you're good.
yeah.
But and that played into the whole analytics and the what do they call it? The shadow banning and all of that. Like
Mhm.
they'll only allow your content. You got a million people on your profile, but they're only gonna send it to 10% of that. So a
That's
million
weird.
people, only 100,000 seen it.
Yeah,
But they get into stuff like that. So you say, "Oh, I need all 1 million to see my stuff." Okay, so pay us $20 more.
boost your post.
Boost your post. Absolutely.
Damn,
It's a sales funnel. At the end of the day, it's all a sales funnel.
everything's a business.
Everything is a business.
It's America. That's
Absolutely.
how it is. You want to do a cookie jar?
Why not?
See what we get? Pull one out.
All right, here we go. Let me mix them up so we get something good.
There you go.
Am I reading it?
You're reading it. I hope it's a good one.
Ooh, this is a good one.
Okay.
This is a really good one. You know what? This was destined. What books had the most significant impact on your life?
Look at that.
That's a good one.
What would be yours?
What books had the most significant impact on my life? I would say the first book is Hill Harper's Letter to a Young Brother. That book. Um, Robert, I'm gonna butcher his name. I want to see Kairosaki something. Robert K.
Rich Dad Poor Dad?
Rich Dad Poor Dad. Um, Derek Grace, Gods Amongst Men, and the Bible.
That's a good list there.
Most people probably should have said I should have said the Bible first, right?
It's on the list.
It's on the list. It's on my list.
You didn't put them in a nut like one, two,
No,
three.
no, it wasn't. This
Yeah,
is Mount Rushmore. It
yeah.
was just the ones that came to my head.
What was
Yes,
they, man?
yes.
Well, the Bible for me, I'll say it first,
You top me right then. Yep. Hmm.
Um, trying to think of what else. Because I didn't I hated reading
I did
for a
too.
while.
For a long time, honestly, the only thing that I would actually read was a Source magazine. If it wasn't
Mm,
the five mics section,
yeah.
I ain't want no parts of it. I didn't even read Double XL. It was just the Source.
I would say one of them, it's not like I don't know. That's probably just a book I really like. One book that I just finished reading, where I guess I'll get to measure more of the impact later on, but right now it's having a big impact on me in how I'm starting to conduct myself.
Mhm.
Is Dream Big by Bob Goff.
Dream big.
That's one you definitely need to read. You would like that one.
That sounds like a an entrepreneur style,
Big time.
motivational type book.
Big time.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. The War of Art.
You gifted me that book, and
That
I have yet to start it.
that's gonna be on your list. A
I
hundred
have yet to
percent.
start it.
100% it's gonna be on your
I
list.
have one book that I am finishing with my daughter. Like I'm very, very particular. Like I don't want to be into a book and I still got one to finish. So I just need to buckle down and finish there was a young African American girl that started a book club in school because any of the books that she would read did not have black characters as the main character. So she wanted to make sure that kids that looked like her could also see heroes
Hmm.
that had her interest in it. So she started this movement called 1000 Black Girl Books. Gosh, why can I not remember her name right now? Daisy Marie or something like that. I know we'll have it on the screen for whenever
Yep.
this podcast airs, but yes. Um I need to finish reading that book with my daughter before I start The War of Art.
That's good, man. I think you'll enjoy it. I think it's gonna
I
surprise
think
you.
so. The books that I've gotten from you so far, I've all enjoyed. So I definitely think I will dig this one.
But, speaking of your daughter, Talia,
Absolutely. Since by yeah, go buy a candle.
tell me about her. We've talked a lot about her.
This is amazing. So my daughter is now 13, but when she was 10 and in the middle of COVID, well, first of all, let me back up there. The time in New Hampshire really showed me that the way Talia learns is more hands-on. The school she was at in New Hampshire was more dedicated to like a STEM program
Okay.
than to where, back home we're like EOG, standardized testing. That's all they're really doing in North
Hmm.
Carolina. Um, but when COVID hit, because she was already complaining about, the curriculum is way too easy and she's getting bored, she's being disruptive in class, all that type stuff. So COVID was actually I think a lot of people have said this. COVID was actually a blessing for my family because in that now daddy has to become the teacher and she
Yeah.
absolutely hated that. But at the same time, we're not just gonna sit here and do, what I'm saying, English and math. We gotta do music class. I need some arts and craft. I'm gonna teach you how to cook.
Right.
So this arts and craft thing, she was always into like making things. She likes to do string art and she was always drawing and painting and stuff like that. So ended up ordering a candle making kit just out the blue, like it's something to do. And I think her mom liked to burn candles, so she was probably, oh, it's a candle making kit on Amazon. It's like $40. Let's order it. All right, cool. So we get the kit. We do the little making the candles. They smelled really good. My mom comes over. She's at the house. The candles are laying on the counter because they say they take about 3 or 4 days for them to cure for the smell to reach maximum potential. So
Okay.
we got the jar open. It was sitting there like we can smell this candle right now. My mom walks in and was like, "What is that? This smells amazing." And we're just, oh, Talia made some candles. They're sitting on the counter. And then she hits us with, this would be a good business for her.
Hmm.
Light bulb goes off. Boom. Word up. How much was the candle making kit again? Like $40. Because my mom came out the pocket. Boom. How much for this candle? $10 here. Okay. And then again, while we were in New Hampshire, uh, so I left my family here. I actually moved up for a year before I moved the family up. And during that time, I would fly them back and forth. So I guess the traveling, that was my daughter's first experience on a plane. One day she's just at home and she says to her mother, like, I think I want to go into aviation. I want to be a flight attendant. And we're like, why you wanna be the stewardess? Why you wanna take people to sodas and pick up their trash? Why not actually fly the plane? She was like, okay, I'll fly the plane. So it was really just like, okay, so how we gonna pay for your aviation school? Because that's pretty expensive.
Right.
We talking parents and college scholarships, but if you got your own business, this might not be something that we gotta pay for necessarily. So, and who doesn't love a good, child story? You're young
Oh
entrepreneur and
yeah.
you're super cute, and I mean, it really just grew wings, man. I will be supportive. So I gave her a little startup money. We ordered all the materials, and again, this is COVID, so now it's more and more like vendor event pop-ups going on around town. Everybody come sell your products. We making body butters, and somebody has, I don't know, some clothes or something.
Oh yeah.
Somebody doing e-commerce. Just started pulling up to those, paying the vendor fees, and the more people I tell this story to, the larger she gets.
Remind me to talk to you after this episode about this.
Absolutely.
I got hopefully another opportunity for it.
Absolutely. So
Um,
while we're on that subject, for everybody that's watching the ISAC Yardbird podcast, make sure you go to sensbyaya.com and use the code ISAC, that is EYESAC, for 10% off of your candle purchase.
there you go.
See, I'm such a professional. I do this with such ease now.
Ease right into it, man. Smooth.
Smooth with it.
As far as other local talents,
Yes, sir.
What are you thinking about the music coming out of Sanford? What's your views on that? Anybody
I
in your
think
radar?
we got some good music, man. A lot, and I'm not just. I mean, I might be a hip hop guy, but it's we got Britton Buchanan that's from Sanford. He did his thing on The Voice. It's another rock guy that I met, Billy O'Brien. He was doing like some, what's the restaurant? Catherine's, the old Biscuitville spot. They do like a karaoke or open mic on, I think, Friday night sometimes.
Really?
hmm
I didn't know that.
But I looked him up, Billy O'Brien. He's dope. And then like somebody that I didn't expect, I'm filming the podcast with you one day, and you have a gentleman on by the name of Jay Clean.
Mm-hmm.
So I hear him talking about his project. I think it was RCR, Roller Coaster Love, or something. RCL,
Yeah, roller
Roller
coaster
Coaster
love.
Love. And I think for me, being in or filming that interview allowed me to connect with him more as a person before I heard the music. And then when I heard the music, I was blown away.
It's crazy.
I was blown away. I was blown away. And I really I hit him up on Instagram. I don't think we had even exchanged numbers at that point.
Right.
But I hit him up like, dog, you seriously need to put a budget behind what's the name of that record? Goodbye Too Soon.
Mm-hmm.
Jay Clean put a budget into Goodbye Too Soon.
Gotta do it.
I'm gonna leave it there.
It's a hell of an album.
It's I mean it's for me, I've always connected with artists that put their soul, they put their authenticity, if I said that right, in their music.
Mm-hmm.
Like I want to make it relatable. And like that's I hear a young guy trying to figure out life, finding out what love is, and just exploring it. And then sometimes, especially when we're young, we experience heartbreak.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just it's a beautiful project. And I mean, and what really killed me is the way he's able to mesh like rock elements with true hip hop. I mean, it's one joint on this project. I think it's called 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. in the trap.
2 a.m. Yeah.
Joint made me feel like Two Chains on the or NBA YoungBoy or somebody is on the record.
Yeah.
Like I was not expecting this, and then he's singing on some of these records.
Yeah.
Like just again, it is so much talent in Sanford, and unless people know where to look or where to go or where to how to get in front of the people that they need to market their music to, you lose a lot of those gems, and sometimes they'll get discouraged because they didn't take the time to learn how to get it out there,
Yeah.
to where sometimes we can kill our own dreams. So
Yeah.
nah, man, yes, look that one up. Jay Clean, Roller Coaster Love.
What do you think ends people's pursuit of achievement in something that they love doing as something creative, where it's not like it's kind of off the path that's already been carved that a lot of people follow. Like coming from here, like what would more likely deter or defer? What is it? Is deter is a word,
Deter,
isn't it?
yeah.
Yeah. What would deter Jake James off of continuing to make music? Do you think it would be more the outside voices, or do you think it all comes down to the internal?
It's all internal.
And you think
It's all internal.
the external just contributes to what's already inside?
Absolutely. I think some some people, not even some people, because I'm guilty of this too, but we can all be influenced by those outside voices. The people that we have closest to us, the things we take into our spirit, like that can stick with you.
Hmm.
And if we're not, like if I'm not always constantly looking to elevate myself, if I get caught up in the gossip then I'll have a more negative outlook on certain things, right? But if I'm always reading the self-help books and I'm always got my nose stuck in the Bible and I'm looking for that positive motivation and affirmations, then my belief is that no, I won't be deterred as quickly.
Yeah.
So I think it's all internal, bro. Like again, we just have to weed out the voices
Right.
and find that tunnel vision.
I think that goes back to, as we were talking about books earlier, that book, In Your Head,
Hmm.
or It's All in Your Head
Yes,
by Russ.
that was a good one.
That book, because we had talked about this before, how he writes, it's like reading, it's like reading a song almost, because
Hmm.
every line's a bar, and you're
Yep.
like, yeah, I had to stop like after every two or three lines and go back and read it again, because it would be so heavy from start to finish, from the capital letter to the period, and you're like, all right, there's a lot of information in this
Yep.
one sentence. It seems simple, but he's saying a lot more than
I
what's on the
think he
page.
was just able to transpose it and deliver it to another market that some people might not necessarily get to hear it from his perspective. So what I'm trying to say is by him putting those same song lyrics in a book, it's able to reach the 65-year-old grandpa that likes golf but doesn't listen to hip hop.
Yeah.
Although he's a hip hop artist,
Hmm.
he just changed the format.
Yeah.
But he's saying relatively the same. Some, like you said, some of these are actual bars from his
Yeah.
records that he's just going into more detail about. So, like, yeah, that's. I think it's all in our head.
Yeah.
We will cause ourselves to go further than we could ever imagine, or we will cause ourselves to stop dead in our tracks and always have those what ifs.
Mm.
I don't want to be left with the what ifs.
I finally, man, that's a big one, isn't it?
That's
That's something when
I
you
don't want
get,
to be left with the what
when
ifs.
you walk up to the edge and you look over and then you turn back around and you see like everything you've accomplished, you go, man, I'm tired.
Yep.
But then the second you look down, you're like, what happens when I'm almost about to hit the bottom and I look back and I see everything that I've done and
Hmm.
I could have kept going, but instead I just got lazy and I
I
fell
just
off.
got lazy. I seen a
Isn't
meme.
that gonna hurt if you do that?
I seen a meme. This it's a guy. Remember the old video game Dig Dug? He's
Oh yeah, you dig into
digging
this cave?
through the tunnel,
Yeah.
and we're trying to get to the diamond that's on the other
Hmm.
side, and he is so close. He is right there, but he got tired and quit. But
Yep.
it's like you never know. You don't quit. You never
You
give
can't.
up.
Yeah. Jimmy V. Don't
Cannot
ever give
don't
up.
ever give up.
That was Russ again when he's talking about, what was it, like 600 songs that he put out,
Hmm.
and then one of them finally caught on, and after that it was boom,
That's it. I used to say that all the time. We recorded music. You're only as good as your next hit. So,
boom.
like, yeah, you felt real good. We're hyped. We're listening to the song. Everybody's loving it. It's great. But even in those moments, and I'm looking at these cats in the studio, and I'm like, all right, well, what's next?
Mm.
Because yeah, you put out one good song, and now we want to ride it. Yeah, you're supposed to work your record, so you promote it, you market it, you go out, you start touring, and you're in and out the clubs, and you're performing day in and day out. Okay, cool. But eventually it's going to lose steam. And
Yep.
now if you're successful in your push, now the record label comes up to you, the A&R, and he asks you what's next.
Yeah.
Can you turn around and be like, yo, I got 100 more songs in the catalog that y'all can pick from and choose the next two albums? Or do you tell him, oh, I got to get back in the studio?
Yeah.
He's going to walk away if you say you got to get back in the studio. So it's the same thing. Stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. I think
Yep.
that's 50 Cent.
Who was it that said, uh oh, it was actually, I was just reading this in Bill Walton's book, Back from the Dead. He played for, who's the UC, I can't even think of his name now, the UCLA coach long ago, John Wooden.
John Wood, yep.
Where, and he's just this meticulous coach where they'll run three plays all practice. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
The practices are broken down by these 12 rules that they have to follow. It's gonna they're gonna do these drills every single practice. And he would keep telling them like, prepare, what failing to prepare is
It's a
preparing
plan
to
to fail.
fail. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And because you never know when the moment's gonna come.
Absolutely.
And if you didn't prepare, boom,
You ain't gonna be ready.
lose that one moment.
It comes up on you, yeah. And then you're just left with a what if? What if I would have been ready? Nah, I don't want the what ifs.
In that, dude, that's something that like that scares the shit out of me. Listening to people that talk about their past and they go, I was this good and this and this and this. And then there's always an excuse right after that. And in the back
I
of my
pay
head while
attention
they're
to that.
talking, I'm like, oh
Yep.
my God, I
Yep.
can't do this.
That
I
actually
can't do it.
motivates me.
Yeah.
Because to
Oh, it
me,
burns me, dude.
I look at, okay, what if that was me?
Yeah.
And have I been doing everything? Like I'm sitting here complaining about my situation. It could be worse,
Hmm.
right? So, nah, I use that as motivation.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. But that's what I'm saying. Like, it scares me to where I
Hmm.
go back and I'm like, I can't be one of those guys that tells those
Absolutely.
stories in
Absolutely.
hopes that the person I'm talking to doesn't make the mistake I made.
Right.
So that's what also gets me excited for the future too, because
Hmm.
I'm fully confident now that when I do look back, even at this particular moment or at any number of these podcasts, I can go, thank God I didn't stop at episode 50 or episode 70.
So I have those same sentiments, and I look at it like we're creating history. What we're doing is we're leaving that blueprint. Um, and as terrible as it is, it's a reality of it. Like with the way that social media and content has come along, when we lose these individuals like a Nipsey Hussle, but because of the technology now that they're still able to live on. Like, let's think about this. What if content creation and what if it would have been a constant thing of videoing everything when Biggie and Pac was still alive
Yeah.
and having those extra moments, you know what I'm saying? Just when they kicking it in the studio, but not
Like that
when they,
Kanye documentary.
right,
Yeah.
right. What if we actually had that back then?
Mm.
Like we would have gotten so much more value out of these individuals. This is not like I'm just those are the two big names that came to my brain. There's so many more people.
Oh, yeah.
But so I just look at it like I'm trying to like right now, this content, because we all know it at some point in time we will all perish, right?
Oh, yeah.
But what did I leave for my family or for the next generation to be able to take back from me?
Yeah.
Right. So this is the value. So capturing these interviews, putting that music out so they can hear, you know, your mindset and your thoughts at that time, as long as it's the right stuff. Like I
Right.
said, and we all know about the party records and the gimmicks but we got to get out of the whole shoot 'em up, bang bang, and
Yeah.
all of these violent records. Like that does nothing.
Yeah.
Tell a story, create art. I'm not against that, and I'm not even against a good violent story. But
Yeah.
is it a story, or am I really plotting on my homeboy across the street for whatever reason? Goes back to the crab mentality because he got it and I want it.
Mm-hmm.
That just means I don't know what he had to do to obtain that. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? So why should I be envious?
Yeah.
He would have
Je-
had to sell his kidney and off his mama to get that.
jealousy
But
gets
I'm
you
envious
killed.
of what he got. You know what I'm saying? It's like
Jealousy don't get you nowhere.
jealousy gets you nowhere.
Well, it
So
gets you somewhere, but it ain't where you want to be.
facts. It gets you somewhere, just not where you want to be.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That jealousy is it's dangerous, dude. I actually heard somebody talking about it and I can't credit who it was. But they were talking about it was Jordan Peterson. And he's catching a lot of backlash right now.
Okay.
Um but he is talking about how everyone, every single person is driven by a spirit, by some kind of spirit.
Hmm.
So it's, it could be the spirit of gluttony, spirit of lust, spirit of jealousy, spirit of hope, whatever it might be. And I never looked at it in that way because he pointed out that to them, that's being led by that spirit, where let's just take a negative one, for example, right? When they're being led by the spirit of gluttony, right? It's something that they see, I'm just eating, it's just food. What can it do to me?
Right.
And then maybe they have a bad day, it's a sad day, and they go, well, if the last time I ate this plate of food, it made me feel good. And I'm feeling pretty bad now. Maybe it'll make me feel good
Right.
now. And eventually it becomes a placebo effect where you start relying on it to make you get that dopamine rush
Right. Right.
to where you think it's making you feel good, but really inside it's killing
You're
you.
killing your body. Yeah.
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 And
That's true.
it's always, I mean, you look at talking about the Bible, and then going back to movies as well, the quote from uh, a few of, was it Unusual Suspects or The Usual Suspects?
Usual suspect.
The last quote of that movie where it says the greatest trick the devil ever created was
Making
convince.
them convincing the world that he didn't exist. I
Yeah,
remember that.
all of those negative spirits convince the people following them that they're not there. But the
That's
the
deep.
good one, the one I follow, Jesus, God, leading you to God, I always know that He's making it known that He's there. I
Hmm.
always feel that. And that's something that was that moment in my life where I was like, okay, I haven't been following the right. Because I've been led by spirits that I didn't want to believe that were there. And so that interview that I saw recently, it kind of, I mean, it gave me a flashback of where I could have gone down the wrong road, and it would have been that what if.
Hmm.
Like what if I didn't have this moment of uh introspective work that I had to go through. But I thought that was really interesting. Do you think there's a lot of like spirits that are guiding people that may think they're at the top right now,
Oh, absolutely.
but it's going to end up being a shit show?
Absolutely. And I think when we don't align ourselves with the right energy, then we're not able to determine, or let me rephrase, if we're not aware that we may be around the wrong energy, we're
Yeah.
not able to determine good from bad as much. Because and a lot of times bad will often present itself as good, or
Oh yeah.
we feel it's that way.
It plays to our
Right,
bodily desires.
right, right.
Yeah.
Um, so no, I believe heavily in that. Like, I'm definitely big on spirituality. So yeah, I definitely believe that you could attach, well, you could have a negative spirit or any type of spirit attached to you.
Hmm.
And yeah, we just have to be mindful of, again, what we're allowing to come into our spirit.
Hmm.
What are we taking in? What are we listening to? Who are the people that we're around constantly? You know what I'm saying? What advice are we listening to? Because you
Yeah.
know when somebody's shooting you up the river off
Oh yeah.
gate. But did you say, man, that sound like some, or did you sit there and listen to them and continue to let them talk?
Right.
So
Well, I think you gotta listen, but you have to evaluate. I think you need to listen to everything. It's
that's a
just
good point.
whether you take it to heart or not, you
That's a
know?
good point. Very true.
Yeah.
Very true.
What's some of the best advice you've gotten recently?
Oh, buddy.
Because you're big on like you said about your good skill at leadership and teaching,
The
and I
best
fully believe in
advice
that.
I've
But
gotten recently.
who's giving you that
You
mentorship?
know what? I'll give you something because this one is big. When I came, and it's, I think I know who wrote it, but there is a whiteboard in the production suite at the church.
Okay.
And when I got there, the first thing in big bold letters, it says, "Don't freak out, just fix it." That's great advice because I think a lot of times when things go wrong, that's our first initial reaction is, I'm
Yeah.
gonna freak out. But if I do this now, I definitely can't fix it
Nope.
because I'm too stuck. I'm frozen. Right. So I think
That's a
it
big one.
wasn't recent, but that's something when you asked that question, it jumped in my brain. Like sometimes we have the wrong reaction, and then the fear, the false evidence appearing real, will not allow us to move forward or just to step into whatever that challenge is for us to come out on the other side and be like, oh, it wasn't even as bad as
Right.
I thought it was gonna be.
Doesn't that always happen?
It always happens.
You
It always happens.
you look at it like it's a mountain, and then you're like, well, finally, after all this time, I
It
guess I'll
wasn't
just
even an
attack it.
anthill.
No, well,
Yeah,
nothing.
it's crazy.
God,
It's crazy.
that's a frustrating thing too.
Absolutely.
Man, it is. Um, we got to talk about your clients now. Can we talk about your clients?
I have
We've
some
talked a
interesting
little bit about
clients.
them.
I have some interesting clients. You know what? You know what makes it so interesting is probably because of what I do.
Okay, explain,
Again,
elaborate.
so my well, not my company, but I am the production manager at the church. But my company, GHME Films, has a very extensive client list from religious organizations to models, dancers, strippers to cannabis companies.
Pretty broad.
It's an odd combination, I know, but
Podcasters, musical artists.
podcasters, music artists, yeah, small business brands,
Mhm.
a little bit of everything. You know what it is? I really enjoy what I do so much to where I don't try to limit myself. And maybe I take on too many things. I definitely think that's possible. Like sometimes when you're really passionate, you say yes too
Mhm.
much. You make yourself too accessible. Um, but I'm in a really good place right now. Like, even with the models and the cannabis brands, it's not something we have to have that discipline to say, okay, this is something I'm gonna do or something I'm not gonna do. So for me, like I don't have to get high. I'm just going to take pictures and videos sometimes.
Mhm.
When they do events, and it's not just, what I'm saying, cannabis or quote unquote weed or
Right.
CBD. What I'm saying? It's products as well. So they got, apparel, t-shirts, hats, uh all types of stuff, and then products. Um but yeah, I just enjoy being a creative, and I don't want to limit myself to what I will do. So if I just shoot music videos, I'm in a very small box. If I just
Yeah.
do interviews, I'm in a very small box. But if I can be a photographer, I can do product photography and also do model portraits and also produce a music video and produce a podcast
Yeah.
and run a production for TV or online streaming, like that gives me more opportunities to be successful.
Oh yeah.
So
Got a much higher ceiling.
much higher ceiling, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I just very, very odd client list, but hey, bills are paid and I enjoy what I do.
There you
So
go. Is there anything else you want to touch on? Anything else I need to bring up that we need to converse
I
about?
don't know, man. I'm just really thankful for this opportunity.
I'm glad we were able to get it
Again,
done.
like I am the people that I've been able to connect with since coming on board and doing these productions for you. And again, the opportunity, like, that's it, man. I'm just thankful and I appreciate you and what you do and just excited to see this thing grow, bro. That's it.
I appreciate you, man.
Absolutely.
There's we were talking about celebrating achievements, and bringing you on has been a big one for sure. The growth that you've given this has been awesome, and I
That's
can't wait
that's
to
what
see
it's
where it
all
goes.
about. It's about bringing that value, bro.
Yeah.
So,
No, I'm ready to see where it goes. The heights you're going to help take this to.
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate you bringing your crew. Thank you
Absolutely. Shout out my crew, man. Shout
yeah.
out Big Kane and KJ and Brandon and Queen Maria. Can't forget about the Queen. Shout out to Big Craig, who was not on set today, but I'll see him on Sunday. And everybody in my CPN team, and I love y'all. It's all love. It's real.
There we go. This has been the Isaac Yardbird podcast. Don't forget to go get your candle. It's
Facts.
we're probably not gonna get this out.
Hold on, but we
Oh,
we
oh.
missed one. We didn't miss one because it's at the beginning of the program. So make sure after you buy the candle that you go get the Mountaineer brand, and then you light the candle for when it's date night, sexy time for you. That's another podcast. Let's go.
Oh,
See, we can get my clients are very, very
that's true.
broad brand and extensive, but
Uh,
you need this
yeah,
for when it's that time.
yeah,
Those are true, man.
absolutely. And the code's the same for both of them. EYESAC.
Facts.
Go and get you some good products. Antrell, Thank you again. Love you, man.
Love you too, bro.
Appreciate it.
Let's do it again.
Yes, sir.